Scrub Casual's file names there. They seem fitting for the mood.
Oh, and we have Hookshot in Link's house. 3 of our runners are at Link's house, and DVO is starting at Sanctuary.
Well, that at least removes the fear that a couple of, or at least one of the races so far has had an impact of hovering being a deciding factor for the winner. So they're all probably happy to see that.
Yeah, this could be the opposite, where the boots are nowhere to be found, but we got the Hookshot right away. Who knows?
Oh, we get bombs from the level 1 tree pole. That is a beautiful thing to see at the start.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see that Hookshot being used for some early movement tech. It can definitely help speed up your movement in the early game when you don't really have any other options.
DVO is going for the Houlihan room, getting some rupees early. Might be a little bit disappointed by that when he sees that there were bombs on the tier 1 tree pole.
Yeah, it is the safest and most consistent start, but it does, as you can see, it took him about a minute to get that done. So, hopefully it will work out for him. Maybe Zora will be required early and other players will need to do it. But, that each second is a second they might wish to have back at the end.
Just a hard container on the island in Lake Hylia, so that's not going to matter to anyone at all.
We do see Ultima going for the dam and finding some more bombs. So he should be able to clean out the South Shore here if he elects to.
Yep, with the hookshot, he can kill the mini Moldorms easily. He also got to save a trip into the dam with that little clip through the block there.
Yeah, we do see the blue mail here in the Lost Woods, so that should make the early execution a little bit easier for our runners, a little bit of safety.
Another big 20 in the drop in the Thieves area, so no big deal there. Really, the blue mail is nice to have, but Lost Woods, if somebody forgot it existed, they would probably be fine.
Yep, and Ultima making swift work of those mini Moldorms. And he finds his boots.
So you get boots and hookshot early this time, and then a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, but man, you find those boots, you'll take all the garbage at this point. Going fast right away is a nice advantage. Now he has to be careful because dashing with the boots, as we can see, a little bit dangerous around these crabs when you don't have a sword.
Yep, boots are kind of indirectly nerfed until you get a sword, but they're still a huge help in terms of just the comfort of moving around the world. And that's a glove in the back of Blind's hut, so that is a little bit of progression. They could sequence break up to Death Mountain now, do all of East Death Mountain.
And we see our other mail upgrade there in Ice Rod Cave. So a lot of early safety here as far as armor upgrades.
Yep, DVO did skip the Ice Rod Cave, so he's only going to get blue mail.
Well, maybe eventually. Okay, here he goes. He's turning back around for Lost Woods. So yeah, he'll get blue mail. He really won't miss that Ice Rod Cave, I don't believe. So hopefully, if he never goes back, that'll be maybe make up that time he lost doing the Houlihan.
That could be very possible. Also, I know we saw a map check a little bit ago on Scrub Casual stream, but I completely missed everything other than I'm pretty sure I saw Desert was a pendant.
Yeah, I can't help us out there either. Hopefully we'll get another map check soon to verify.
I don't understand how people are so fast with their map checks. I don't understand it at all.
Awase just checking in on the sick kid. He's there. He's waiting for you to come back with a bottle.
And there's the bottle.
Perfect timing. Just the wrong order there. The almost vanilla bottle there with just a little bit of green goo added in.
And 10 arrows from the sick kid. That is, that's not really worth the extra trip.
No, but it is nice to get that bottle while you're still here in Kakariko. It's not hanging over your head, so I'm sure they're glad for that.
Yeah, one of the arguments for starting in places other than Kakariko is, you can get a bottle before you go there, but this time wasn't needed. And another bottle on the library, just in case you want it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I would expect Ultima and Devio to grab that. It does have a ferry, so probably worth picking up at this point.
Yeah, with the extra mail, it could be more of an inconvenience when it comes to death warping than it's worth for the value of the revive, but it's still a pretty quick grab for some nice safety.
Yep, and we did get the mirror there in Kakariko as well.
And that does actually make the sequence break up Death Mountain even more useful. You kind of wish to have a hammer or a sword before you go up there, so that you can deal with Moldorm, but now they can clear out all of East Death Mountain and get up and check Hera.
Yeah, this is an interesting call because you're missing two things you might want before that. You might be finding the lamp, which would be your fire source for Hera. That would be one of the two ways you could actually get up there by logic. And like we mentioned, Moldorm, you need a blunt weapon, so that means a sword or a hammer. Going into Hera without one of those two items is a little bit of a risk, and nobody wants to have to double dip Hera. It's a long climb up that mountain.
For sure, although the hint tiles in there make it a little bit more worth taking that risk these days.
Yep, absolutely. And then on the other hand, their other option is to go into Eastern without the bow, and there's only 2 to 3 items there. So, it probably just depends on what Sarhashila has, and that's what our runners will be making their decision on.
Yep, and with Ultima and Devio, oh, there's a map check. Crystals at Eastern and Hera, Pendant at Desert. But yeah, with our two who started South Shore about to wrap up Kakariko area, and the two who started Kakariko about to wrap up South Shore, we should be seeing that Eastern Palace area pretty soon.
Does look like Iwasa's going to go for the water walk here. He does have just over 500 rupees, so this should be a great play for him.
Yeah, it's definitely a very reasonable choice. You can't get the Zora Ledge item if it's important, but knowing what it is, you can come back as soon as you get Moon Pearl or Flippers.
Yep, and it does look like he's planning to go to Hobo first. He did set up the water walk, but he's not activating it right away. So that would be indicate he's probably going to swim to Hobo and then water walk off of Hobo.
Well, he can't water walk off anymore because he missed the fake flippers on that first jump, so his water walk got disabled.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. He can't check the waterfall cave now. He might just choose to abort and come back later.
Very possible. Also, Ultima has to be a little bit careful. He just saves and quit while jumping off a ledge, which restores the most broken glitch in this game and could cause problems if you accidentally activate it.
Yeah, and Devio checking the back of Escape, and Ultima's shortly behind. Nothing there, though, just a bunch of junk. So the search continues for the next progression item.
Scrub is entering into the old man cave in the dark. Gonna go ahead and do that sequence break up Death Mountain before going to check any of the other areas available.
Yep, and there were 3 items in the back of Escape, so that does limit the number of items you'll find in the front. Our runners will only have a few items left. We still have to find that map.
Yeah, it could be worth trying to go for the bomb escape using the hook shot to make sure it's nice and easy if you mess something up. But at the same time, with 3 items in the back of escape, it was an item in sanctuary. That's already 4 of your 6 right there.
Yeah, this is a part of the seed that is very interesting as far as our runners' decisions. Every option is a little bit less than ideal. So you can see we're getting a lot of divergence. Ultima is over there at Sarhashala's hut. Devio is doing the front of escape. And Scrub Casual is on Death Mountain.
It's been worth noting that Sahasrala's closet was garbage, 2 pieces of heart, and another bottle, this time with a B. Oh dear.
Well, we got the sword and the cape there from Scrub Casual.
That is not a pair of items you want to see right next to each other this early.
No, we still have to see some more items, but given that the lamp is one of the things that would put those items in logic, there could be a story brewing, and we see another sword too, so that's looking like more and more likely.
Yeah, it seems like if there is going to be an Aghanim required seed, you never just get the absolute minimum you need. You always seem to get an extra sword or the cape when you don't really need it. Not always, but it happens enough to where it's kind of a thing that you make note of.
Yeah, so Ultima and Oase are going through Eastern Palace here. Scrub Casual is starting to see a story come together in his head, but you know what he does next, he will likely have to go towards the Eastern Palace area, because I don't think, even with that red mail, I don't think we're going to see a Aga Tower in the dark play right now.
Yeah, that is one of the more difficult things to manage. Also worth noting that the entire front of escape was nothing even worth mentioning.
Yeah, and the Eastern Palace hint tells us something sharp is in Paradox Cave.
Well, isn't that nice of it? Now, Scrub Casual decided not to go up to Hera without a fire source. He's going back down to try to find out how to get that Death Mountain stuff into logic before he worries about that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Ultima did not find a fire source here. So, as far as I know, we're down to 2 places in logic. We have Zora, and we also have Agina.
Progression on Agina. It's one of few locations that you don't want to go to. It's so far out of the way of everything.
Yeah, the boots will make it a little bit better, but yeah, nobody really wants to go there at this point.
Eastern Palace big chest I missed the first time through, but has a heart. Or actually, that was the first person there, and it had a heart container.
Yeah, so we're just looking for that next progression. Now, the good news is our runners generally have enough rupees for Zora. I mean, Ultima is 1 rupee short, but I'm pretty sure he can scrounge that up somewhere.
Interesting. Scrub Casual did the back of Sahasrala's hut and then left. He decided not to go check Eastern Palace. Now he's back on the mountain, presumably for Hera.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a risk. Knowing that the lamp, well, it seems likely at this point that the lamp was your way up here. Going to Hera without it is certainly a risk. You might need it in order to clear the dungeon.
$20 in Spectacle Rock Cave. It's become kind of a risk to check that and not get that item these days.
Yeah, there is a hint tile right next to that item, and it's become the strategy in V30 to just YOLO that for most runners, but Scrub Casual decided, you know what, I can go without that hint. So we'll have to see. I'm sure we'll see it from one of our other runners what that hint says.
We've got both Ultima and Oase now in Escape, going to get their garbage out of here. Compass first item of Hera, so that's not what you're hoping to see.
But he does get the big key.
Okay, I can now safely say that Scrub is just not checking hint tiles in general, because he just skipped one that he literally walked right next to.
Yeah, he's definitely just skipping them. I don't know if this is a intended strategy or if it's just slipping his mind because they're pretty new, but it could really play a part in this race, so we'll have to pay attention.
Yeah, in my personal experience with V30, the hints are more often than not pretty useless. But the moment you get a couple that are very useful, not having that information can be a killer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like any other thing. You check it when it's convenient, because if you don't, your opponents do, you might. It could cost you the race. It could cost you 20 minutes.
We did get a nearly vanilla Moon Pearl in Hera, so getting up the mountain is definitely something that needs to be done early according to logic. Now we face off with Trolldorm, everyone's favorite boss, because if you screw up, then you fall down 2 floors and have to do the whole fight over.
Well, he got the 1 floor fall, so not quite as bad as it could have been, but he probably wished that he didn't get caught on the edge there.
Devio is giving back that bit of time he saved by not checking Ice Rod Cave right now. Going to go ahead and get that down. And another win for Moldorm.
Yeah, he didn't even let him on the platform that time. That was just nasty.
It's one of those fights that I feel like no matter how much you practice, things can still go wrong.
So, interestingly, Ultima is fake flippering. He checked Hobo, and it looks like he's continuing his fake flipper, but he does not yet have the Moon Pearl, and he does not have the Water Walk as far as I can tell. So he would have to skip the Waterfall Cave in its current state.
We get 10 arrows off Moldorm, so both of the items out of Hera are accounted for with no fire, no harm done there. And yeah, the Devio and Ultima are both having to skip the ability to check Waterfall. Makes it a very awkward place to come back to.
Yeah, there is an potential chance that you'll get a hint for an item underwater or an item with a Great Fairy, both of which could mean a Waterfall Cave, but that's just pretty unlikely. And we do see the lamp on Zora.
So that puts everyone's favorite early game requirement into logic, with 1 location left to check.
Yeah, and with the toolkit our runners got, the Master Sword, the lamp, the cape, the hookshot, the gloves, the Moon Pearl, and the mirror for that matter, I don't think we're going to see a lot of Agena Cave checks before they make the dive into Agate Tower. I could be mistaken, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with that bet there, just because it seems like there's certain starter packs for Aghanim, and when you get the lineup to be able to do all the way around the Dark World with the hookshot and either flippers or gloves or hammer, it tends to be a pretty strong indicator.
Yep. So now our runners are putting together the rest of the toolkit that they haven't seen yet. Oase is doing Paradox. He still needs to get to Zora eventually. Scrub Casual is now in Eastern, also needs to get to Zora. And 3 of our runners still will likely be doing Hera for that Moon Pearl. But yeah, it's really just checking other people's previously checked locations right now. We will possibly see the Spectacle Rock hint here, though.
Well, I'll say ran out of bombs in Paradox Cave, so couldn't do the bomb jump across there.
Yeah, that's a change in V30. The capacity upgrades are no longer in the item pool. You can purchase them for 100 rupees in the what is it called? Pond of Happiness. That is the Light World location where the Ice Palace is. But without that, you're just limited to 10 bombs. So resource management is now a real thing in Randomizer.
And I'll be honest, I've actually found use for those upgrades because they refill your ammo. So sometimes they're actually very useful to go by.
Absolutely, and given that Ice Palace is a dungeon that has a lot of bomb jumps, I have found right after I come out of there, I have 2 bombs. It's like, okay, I'll just come in here, restock, and make sure I'm good to go.
Also, DVO made the play up to Hera before going across to Paradox Cave, and that one's not going to feel great when he gets over there and finds those swords.
Yeah, and I think he saw the hint in Eastern Palace, so that must have just slipped his mind there.
Yep, and our last chance of someone checking this Spectacle Rock Cave hint is heading right by. I think he might have already checked the cave.
So that's very interesting. We do have our Dark World map check.
We got pendants in Thieves Town and Ice being the green, and we also got 5-6 crystals in Skull Woods and Turtle Rock.
Yep, absolutely. So we will not be seeing the Fire Rod at the Pyramid Ferry today.
I'd actually be a little bit surprised if we see Pyramid Ferry at all.
Yeah, anytime that Turtle Rock is one of the 5-6 crystals, it doesn't seem very likely to come up.
Armor is in a cold cave. Thank you, game. Thank you.
Yeah, so the hints we have seen from our runners have not been particularly helpful so far.
Yeah, I mean, it could have saved if DVO had checked it before going back for Ice Rod Cave. It could have saved him that trip. But other than that, I mean, you're going to check Paradox Cave for the whole something sharp one.
So it does look like Ultima is making the dive into Aga Tower. He has not yet completed Hera, so he does not have the Moon Pearl. The sequencing, it will be fine. He'll just be a bunny on the pyramid. He'll be able to check the pyramid item, and then he'll probably be forced right to Hera. So this is a little bit of a gamble. If the Moon Pearl was on the pyramid, it might actually end up saving him time.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid play. It's unfortunate for him that he was kind of right there where he could have gotten the Moon Pearl he needed, but worth noting as well that with the early mirror, they are going to have to remember to mirror before a save and quit when they're in the Dark World. They don't want to be back on the pyramid.
Yeah, you usually see people do that like once per seed, at least. If you can avoid doing that the first time, yeah, more power to you, because it's hard to remember.
And I thought Scrub Casual was going to head over to Agina's cave, but no, he's going for the Zora play. He does have the Moon Pearl, so he'll be the first one to see what's in the waterfall. No, Wase is heading down this way as well, probably doing the same thing. Again, we'll be able to check the waterfall. Oh, no, he's going to Agina.
All right, we're getting a new check that we haven't seen yet.
Waterfall with $40. I feel like that's, you just reach into the pond and start grabbing out all the rupees people threw in for the whole Make-A-Wish thing. It's like, oh, how much can I get?
Exactly. And we did get a hint in Aga Tower that the purple chest can be safely skipped, which is a nice hint to get. Those are, some of the more valuable hints, actually.
That is one of my favorite things to get. Also, shoutouts to the game giving the best boomerang, just to complete that, pretty vanilla set of equipment for the Aga Tower climb. You got a couple things you normally wouldn't have, but you got Master Sword, you got the Bloomerang, you got, your glove, your boots, your pearl, your mirror, 2 bottles. It's pretty standard.
Yeah, and we're seeing a fake flipper here from Awase. I think he's trying to pick up a potion or two before he dives into Aga Tower. Really reasonable check. Or maybe he's actually going Zora the vanilla way.
Yeah, it looks like it, which is... I don't know if that's actually a little bit faster or a little bit slower when you have this kind of situation.
All I know is these buzz blobs here, like, even if it was faster, they're kind of like dead rocks. You can't really dash through that screen. It's just a pain. Unless you have Gold Sword, I guess.
We do have the Aghanim fight going on over here for Ultima. Have not been keeping track of how many times he has decided, nope, you don't get to hit me this time.
Yeah, lucky for us, we'll get the 3 more opportunities to count here.
He is down for Ultima though, so Ultima's going to check the pyramid item, and then he's going to have to mirror and save and quit, and look elsewhere for some progression.
And he finds a single arrow there on the pyramid. Probably not what he wanted to see, but hopefully he got a chuckle out of that.
Definitely not what he was looking for, yeah. Although, it is worth noting that in V30, in the hints, the single arrow is the only, 100% useless item that is considered a unique item. So getting it out of the way, knowing that when you see a unique item hint, it's not the single arrow, kind of pleasant, actually.
Yeah, and the same can be said for having both boomerangs as well. Not that they're useless items, but knowing that they're not one of the unique items being found, very, very useful.
So we got 3 more runners filtering into the Aghanim Tower, going through this pretty smoothly. You got all the equipment you need to get through here nicely, while Ultima heads up to Hera and we'll get his Moon Pearl.
Yeah, so once we actually have all of our runners in the Dark World with, the Moon Pearl, they'll have the hook shot. What I would call the traditional play would be to, run up, possibly check Catfish and hookshot over to the West Dark World Village of Outcasts. But one of our runners could choose to go directly into Palace of Darkness, even without the bow or hammer.
Yeah, the early pod play can be nice when you got a couple of bottles and you can do the bottle glitch to make sure you explore it all.
Yeah, given that they do have those bottles, if they have a potion, I would not be surprised to see the trip to pod.
We get synchronized Aghanim fights. Oh joy. Such an exciting fight to watch, especially twice at once.
It really is synchronized, isn't it?
I had a weird thing the other day where I managed to kill Aghanim 2 while he was a shadow, and it really confused me. Unfortunately, that can't happen here, but it was an interesting little quirk that I've never seen before.
This is the longest sync of a boss fight that you will ever see.
Definitely up there, unless, yeah, I can't think of anything that could possibly be more synchronized than this, actually. I think Scrub is just ever so slightly a couple frames ahead.
Yeah, he got a little bit ahead there, but I don't know. I think yeah, a couple frames. That's it.
That was a lovely way to make Aghanim a little bit more interesting. It may be a glorified cutscene, but when you're watching two people do it at the exact same time, that's not bad.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So here we go. We get to see what our runners are doing, and it looks like Scrub Casual is heading towards Palace of Darkness.
Yep, gonna take the little bit more risky play over the more safe one. Owase is in a little bit of risk here. He's at 1 heart remaining. 2 hits from blue balls could do him in here.
Yeah, he just needs to be careful, make sure he's lining up correctly in these safe spots here for the blue balls. You know, if he's directly horizontal, he should be just fine.
Oh, and Devio is going to check Catfish, as is Ultima, actually.
Yeah, when you do Aga and you have the glove, man, it takes a long time to check Catfish, but it seems really risky to skip it. So I definitely understand this play, but today it's just bombs.
Nothing but disappointment for your time. And Pod is not bow-locked immediately. It could still be bow-locked in like 3 different places, depending on the rest of the keys.
Yeah, but for now, Scrub continues to go deeper.
I'm gonna blow up this wall ahead of time, so when he eventually goes to the right side, he can go right through, gets a second key. There are at least 2 more keys in the front segment here, but this makes routing it a little bit more convenient.
Yep, and the amount of bow lockness in Pod is dependent on how many small keys are on the right side, which is bow locked. It could be 0, 1, or 2. Now that we saw the big key there, it's at least 1.
And with that small key, it's still at least 1, but the back of the dungeon is open for business. We're getting...
Yep, we're getting King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge checks here from Devio and Ultima. Owase did check Catfish as well, and it's just a little bit behind in their footsteps. So Scrub Casual, if there is something important here in Pod, he could have an advantage here against our other runners on stream.
The Mini Helmosaur, the Guardian of the Bridge, decided that he did not get to pass today.
Yeah, he's giving a good fight today. It's a little bit of trouble getting past him, getting out that hook shot to stun him. You know, if you have a little bit of trouble, that's always a good idea, especially, you know, 6 hearts. Each one of those falls gives you a heart of damage, so.
Yep, and we're looking for 1 more key in this little dark U room, or the harmless hellway, quote-unquote. There's a book.
Yeah, so Scrub Casual will be able to check Bombo's tablet when he makes it over to that part of the Dark World, whereas our other runners, there's a potential that they would have to circle the entire world again just to check Bombo's tablet.
A tempered sword out of the harmless hellway is a nice plus as well, regardless of what else is here.
Yeah, absolutely. Tempered Sword kills most Dark World enemies in one slash and does a lot more damage on the bosses too. So he should make up some time with that regardless.
We got Ultima heading into Skull Woods. We got DVO doing Village of Outcasts, where he just found the Ether Medallion, our first medallion to be found.
Yes, but Ultima finds the Bombos medallion. So we got 2 medallions for 2 different routes here. And we get the Cane of Samaria and the flute. Okay.
Huh, I feel like that's trying to tell us something.
Yeah, we had that lamp, and now, oh, here's the cane and the flute and 2 medallions. Where do you think you're supposed to go? Well, we still need one more item. Game, where's that other one? You know what you need to give us here.
Titan's Med probably sitting in desert behind that book.
Very possible.
So I wouldn't say that Scrub's play over to Pod made a huge difference, but the sword is a nice plus. The book will be a little bit easier to route with, and his big thing is if there's something in desert before the Titan's Myth, that's where that play is going to really pay off for him.
Yeah, that book could really pay dividends. Given that we have the mirror, I could definitely see a route where Scrub Casual goes all the way around the world here, checks Bombo's tablet, and just hops right into desert. And like you said, if something like the mitts or the hammer, for that matter, is in Desert Palace, it would really work out for him.
It will be interesting to see if anyone goes through Thieves Town at all. Without the hammer, you got that risk of missing the big chest. Well, that was convenient. So Hawase is going to go through Thieves Town, at least through the front view here.
Yeah, to this point, our runners only have that single glove and still don't have convenient access to Village of Outcasts, so I could definitely see them clearing this, maybe gritting their teeth a little bit, being a little bit worried about it, but not having any easy way back here. As long as it, they get a couple items up front, they do have that small key already, so it's a little bit concerning, but I expect to see our runners to go through here.
Ultima joining him back in Thieves Town. Now, this is the last chest of the front. It is the big key, and he is mirroring out.
Yeah, getting that map as the third item, I can definitely see that play. There's a very high chance that there is an item in the big chest. The interesting thing, though, is because he did find that small key, hammer can be anywhere else in the dungeon. That is a risk.
Yeah, it's like most things in Rando. Sure, you don't want to do this without X item, but X item could also be here, and then you're just sad.
Absolutely.
For some good old digging game, we actually DVO just walking away from the digging game as Hawase starts, keeping it, nice and consistent.
Yep, and Ultima is going deeper into Thieves Town.
Worth noting that the bow was on the digging game. I don't know if I'd really want a bow that was buried.
And we have the flippers in Cave 45, south of the Haunted Grove. So we're getting all the items, but we still don't have convenient Dark World access.
Sounds about right. That bow does kind of take away Scrub Casual's potential benefit from that pod play, because people are going to be going over there sooner now.
Yeah, it definitely does. The the only potential is if the mitts and the hammer are both locked behind the book, then he still has a pretty good advantage because, the other players would have to run all the way around the world afterpod to take advantage of those.
And Ultima did find half magic in the attic chest in Thieves Town, which is a pretty nice to have item, not required in the least, but nice to have.
Well, there was some hype there in Hype Cave. We do have the Titan's mitts, so that was a successful Dark World loop, I would say.
It definitely is. I'm curious if anyone is going to make the play into the first chest of Swamp while they're down here, since it's still a royal pain to get back to if there's anything of value there.
Okay, so Ultima has gotten 2 items, so it's 50-50 right now. It will either be the compass or the last item in the big chest. He's hoping to see an item when he kills Blind here in a minute or so. And DPO is wasting no time going towards the Meyer shed.
Yep, definitely a solid choice. And it'll be possible to dive into Meyer right now. I believe I saw a Bombos medallion on there.
Yeah, and not just dive in, but it's fully clearable. Not the easiest dungeon. He is still on Master Sword and no silvers, and only 6 hearts. So it really just depends on how he feels about low percent strats. He might put it off for a little bit.
Checkerboard Cave giving $5, so no one cares about that. I did miss what blind dropped by like a split second. If I am to trust chat, blind dropped the compass, and there is an item in the big chest to potentially have to go back for.
Yeah, so Ultima made a little bit of a gamble here. It is a pendant, Thieves Town. And now he has an item left and a pendant that might probably not necessary. So, he does get the half magic. It will make things a little bit easier coming up here. It would make a cape Vidi fight with Master Sword a lot easier. So maybe it will turn out to save him some time at the end.
And we are getting the Meyer dip, as well as Oase heading up to Dark Death Mountain, both of which are very, very solid plays given the item drops so far.
Yeah, Dark Death Mountain has 6 items. Meyer has 2 items, but it is a crystal dungeon that we need to complete, and we did just get every single item we needed to clear it in rapid succession. So
Super Bunny Cave giving us a piece of heart and $20, so no value to be found there. Looking forward to when Scrub Casual completes this loop. T-Rock, I did not see that medallion. It was just off screen, I feel like.
yeah, I did not quite catch it either.
I mean, this is purely based off of like 2 pixels, but looking at it on the restream, I want to say it was Ether. But again, that's like 2 pixels worth of medallion I saw.
That was my guess as well, but I didn't want to take a guess there. I didn't want to commit to anything, but we'll go with that.
Understandable. Also, that Bari just bodied Oase off that platform, and he had to go all the way back around for 10 arrows. So Dark Death Mountain completely empty.
It's empty, but Oase has gotten quite a few more hearts. He has 4 more hearts than Devio right now, so he'll at least have a little bit safer time when he makes it to Meyer.
Very true. Also worth noting that going up there without the book means that there's an item on Ether Tablet. He'll never have a reason to go to Ether Tablet.
Yeah, it's a pretty isolated check, especially without the hammer. If he had the hammer, he would also potentially want to check Spike Cave, although that's not anybody's first choice of checks.
Getting all the small keys here in Meyer for DVO. Wase is making the pod play, so he's going to get that book. He's going to get his tempered sword, which, again, will make Meyer a lot easier if that's where the seed wants these runners to go.
Yeah, absolutely. We do know he will find that tempered sword. He'll be able to clear 2 crystals here. So great play. Scrub Casual will be giving us that Bombos tablet check, so this could be really important.
And meanwhile, Ultima just waiting to get his best boomerang out of here. Also, there were silvers in the chest above the vanilla big key torch room. Or above the path to that room. I forget what chest that is in vanilla, but worth picking up.
Yeah, not only worth picking up, but it greatly made the Vidi fight easier for DVO. He was staring down a Master Sword 6-heart, well, 2 hearts right now, Vitreous fight, but now he has those silvers. He should be able to make quick work of the eyeballs.
We seem to have 3 runners converging on... Oh, that just was on the pedestal, and I completely missed the first line of that hint.
Yeah, it was just junk. I think it was some cash.
Some cash indeed. So pedestal is dead, thankfully. Ultima won't be very happy to see that hint.
Now, what Awase did skip was the Skull Woods dive, and we know that there are 2 required items there, the flute and the Bombos medallion. So that is why he is making a slightly different routing choice than the other runners. You know, as long as he gets back to Skull Woods before doing maybe more inconvenient checks, such as running all the way down to Swamp Palace for the 1 chest or something, it really shouldn't hurt him too much, but it is sending him on a little bit different path.
And for not much reward there's a chance of another item in the right side of pod, since Scrub did not do the bottle glitch, but
So DVO is coming up here on his Vidi fight. He is at 2 hearts, so he can't take damage here from an eyeball. I believe everyone would do 2 hearts. The lightning, he might be able to survive a hit, but no problem. Nice sniper strats, gets him down right away.
yeah, very, very clean Vitreous, and nabs a piece of heart. So Meyer wasn't the answer. It actually makes me wonder if Awase is going to be the one getting the payout here on the right side of pod.
Yeah, you know, the other crazy option, we did get Flippers, Mitts, Bombos. Don't have that hammer yet, but there is an Ice Palace sitting there waiting for us.
Oh, please, Seed, don't make people die of Ice Palace without a hammer. A map and silver arrows is Fire Rock to Misery Meyer. Thanks. Good timing. To be fair, that's actually a good time save for Awase, but he's not going to get the pedestal hit because he's not going to go down to the vanilla big key area.
And he is currently out of arrows. This is that resource management thing popping up again. This V30, you definitely have to keep an eye on your resources, and learning where the pots are in the dungeons is actually important. The NMG run, those runners know where every backup pod is for... Oh, there's the hammer in pod, of course.
Well. So, yeah, pod is the answer. Everyone's gonna have to go over there eventually. And just think of the advantage Scrub Casual could have had if he had done the bottle glitch while he was there.
Yeah, that would have been huge. Now, he wouldn't have been able to complete it at that point. The bow was over at the dig game, but just knowing that the hammer was there really would have been a huge advantage. And he could have even elected to go into Swamp when he was doing the loop.
Blacksmith had no value. We know the purple chest has no value. So DVO is now headed up to Dark Death Mountain. Owase is going to go clear the back of Pod, get his book, get his sword, and, go clear Helmasaur, which will be some new information if we don't have all the items already.
Yeah, and now, Scrub Casual could have had a great advantage going to Pod early, but now he has one item potentially in Palace of Darkness to check, and he doesn't have the hammer. So his early pod dip, it really depends on what his riding decisions are from here on, but it really could come back to hurt him.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people have taken to just always bottle glitching in pod if they have a bottle. Because if you don't do it and there is something there, it's gonna hurt real bad. The bright side for him, I'd say, is that there aren't a whole lot of other checks available. There are still other checks, but not a huge amount.
That is true. The one dangerous one that he might decide to do is that Ice Palace without the hammer dip. There's a potential for up to 3 items. It would probably be more likely 1 or 2.
Yeah, that is definitely the worst case scenario for him.
But Ultima does pick up his Meyer crystal, and now he knows that Meyer was not the answer. So it's up to him to make the next choice. I would expect him to follow in DVO's footsteps here, clearing out the Dark Death Mountain and getting the eyes on the Turtle Rock Medallion seems like a really straightforward and good play. That looks to be what he's doing.
Yep, and can now confirm with many, many more pixels that Ether is the medallion required for T-Rock. Wow, those cabbages were on point. So let's see, these 4 are all kind of, well, except for Owase who's about to go do Helmasaur, they're all kind of catching up on stuff the others have done. Where do you go next when you got the full loadout of what's available?
I mean, I think Swamp Palace is the obvious choice. If you had Fire Rod, you could certainly justify going to Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod as a little bit of a gamble. But with what they currently have, you pretty much have to make that play in the Swamp, commit to that full clear. You're really just looking for both rods. So, there's 6 items, it's a crystal, go clear it out.
Yeah, I'd say I might actually lean toward Ice just because it's got 3 items, 3 hints, and Ice is a pendant, never mind. So yeah, definitely Swamp.
Now, what would be interesting is if Swamp isn't the answer, then I think that's where the choices become a little bit crazy. You do have the Pendant Ice, which would be right next door to Swamp. You could say, you know what? Let's go see how far we can get in Turtle Rock. There are plays you could make. We really haven't seen any of Pendant Desert either.
We're about to get that. Nope. I was gonna say we're about to get that information, but floating away. Yeah, Helmosaur was a dungeon item, so it is literally one item left behind for Scrub Casual and Pod. That's gonna be a while. Ultima buying a blue potion. Where are you headed, Ultima?
I was afraid of this. Seeing somebody buy a potion. It's never a good sign. Okay, maybe he's checking Waterfall and leaving. Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully that potion was for a bottle glitch. Let's just hope for that. Wait, he has both. That doesn't make sense. Never mind.
Yeah. Now, the waterfall is an isolated location. It makes sense to check it, but it also kind of makes sense to swim back, and that looks to be what is happening.
Now, the good thing here for him, at least, is he can get most of the stuff in here. There are only a couple chests he's going to have to leave behind. It's a pendant, so not being able to clear it doesn't hurt as much. So, you know, if he finds Fire Rod or Ice Rod, it could end up turning into a massive advantage, but...
Yeah, and you can access all 3 hints without the hammer, so... You know, like, there are good things that could happen here, but skipping the first hint tile is probably not one of them. Let's hope for his sake that there's something important here.
You've actually seen a surprising amount of hint tile skips, and they're all runners who I know that hints exist. So it kind of surprises me that we've seen so many get skipped.
So Awasta still is missing the Flute and Bombos medallions, so he's still, 4 items away. And for him, Swamp is even a better play at this point, so no surprise that he's making his way there.
Yeah, the question is, he could save and quit to the pyramid and go check that last item in Pod before going to Skull Woods, which wouldn't be the worst thing he could do. Oh, now he's going to go to Skull Woods right away.
Yeah, he doesn't know he needs that yet, but given that it would give him access to Ice Palace, he might be thinking, oh, I need to get that to go to Ice Palace for the Fire Rod. But what he really needs it for, well, the thing we know he needs it for is for Misery Mire.
The first chest of Swamp is the big key. And pause for a moment and then deciding, wait, yeah, I'm going to go deeper. Scrub with his Flute and Bombos medallion now heading to Eastern Palace. Is so close to the right thing. He really should have come here in the Dark World to check that last pod item.
Yeah, this is kind of worrisome, actually. Coming here just straight in the Light World makes me think that he has no intention of making Pod his next check.
Yeah, it's slightly faster to get here, but if you do a Dark World save and quit to the Pyramid, getting to Pod Eastern in the Dark World is pretty quick as well. So if you got that one item left that's a possibility of hiding in Pod, it's usually worth doing that over just fluting to Eastern. Ultima in Freezor room now, gonna be getting the second chest of Ice Palace pretty much.
Still coming up empty for now. And Devio had just gotten his hammer in Pod as one of the first chests he checks. Always a little bit of relief when you find that hammer right away in there.
Item number 1 out of Ice Palace, $20. Not really what anyone's hoping to see. So we'll be seeing Ultima head to the iced tea room, followed by the one non-hammerlock chest on the right side.
And we have a rod. I did not catch which color that was.
I want to say it's ice, but I'm waiting for it on the actual restream. Yeah, ice rod.
So that's great. Now we know we're not going to make that turtle rock dip without the ice rod, but are we setting up to do it without the fire rod? Waiting to be seen.
And we are coming up on the last chest of Swamp here. Owase heading up to Argus, who with Tempered Sword is going to die pretty quickly. Nearly got that one cycle down.
All right, it looks like Scrub Casual for their next decision. They're making that play towards Desert Palace. There are 2 items in here. He does have boots, so I don't think the boots have blocked anything yet, and it's potential that the items here or they're on the torch themselves or the chest through the keys are all boots locked, so not a bad check.
Yep, and he gets a small key on the torch.
All right, so Ultima did come up empty in Ice Palace, but at least he is making the play to pod now. It does put him a little bit behind Devio at this point, but he should be back on track very soon.
Yep, and Owase will be in good shape if he follows that Swamp Palace hint into Skull Woods. He's going to be just a fire rod away from go mode at that point.
Yeah, and Desert Palace is not the answer. Just a big 20 and a bottle.
So now you're starting to get pretty tight on checks that you can make. We still have 1 item unaccounted for in Thieves Town, and most of these runners have not gone through Thieves Town yet. So that's a possibility we could see.
So unique item requires a bomb is one of those hints that you're probably not going to get any use out of. Just as an example, it could be Ice Rod Cave, it could be Mini Moldorm Cave, it could be the back of Hype Cave, or the front of Hype Cave. It's so many locations that you probably already found an item that it could pertain to.
Yeah, some of the hints are maddeningly non-specific.
And since we're guaranteed to get a boots hint, the boots were in Mini Moldorm Cave, so that could actually be the boot hint.
The Scrub Casual is checking Hobo. Please do not go into Ice Palace.
So Owase did get that hint that Bombos was in Skull Woods, but he is not interested in Bombos, apparently.
Yeah, I think the thing here is he knows that T-Rock requires Ether, he doesn't know what Meyer requires, so he's gone to T-Rock to look for the flute, so he can figure out if he needs that Bombos medallion, if I had a guess.
Yeah, unfortunately, he does not have the fire rod, so it really is quite the play to go to Turtle Rock. He could just be doing Ether Tablet and Spike Cave.
That's also possible in a much safer play.
And having completed Palace of Darkness, Devio is looking to head to Swamp Palace here.
He'll get his Ice Rod. Owase is making that Spike Cave play. Spike Cave is one of those locations where you never really want to go here.
Yeah, it definitely takes a little while to check, but if you're combining it with Ether Tablet, it's never going to be any faster, and it's just a blue rupee.
So I was just thinking about it, Ned, Bombo's hint might actually keep Owase away from Skullwoods, because it's very possible, because at this point there's only one potential item that he knows he needs there, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the front.
Yeah, that's true. On the other hand, he is running out of locations, and if Bombos is in the front, that would open up 4 other items that he knows about, and he doesn't even know that it will open up Meyer with the flute he will also find there. So I think he is making that play now.
Seems that way. Also, worth noting the value of hints right there. Scrub Casual just mirroring taking the purple chest to Gary, when other runners were able to know that it just had some cash due to checking the hints.
And Owase proving me to be a liar, skipping out on Skull Woods.
And go grab the dear friend, the blacksmith, and, take him home. And Scrub Casual now making the play into Thieves Town, which, will give us no new information because he doesn't have the hammer yet, but he'll get his half magic eventually.
Now, one thing I didn't call out at the time, I don't think Owase checked left side swamp, but I don't know how many items would have been over there.
Yeah, he definitely went straight back. I feel like we mostly saw items, so I think we might have gotten everything, but it might be 1 item left at most, I believe.
Try to keep a better eye out here on Devio stream here, so we'll know for sure. There is at least 1 item there. And 2. All right. So it is interesting that we found the Ice Rod in Swamp Palace. You'd probably more likely think you'd find the Fire Rod, and that would lead to the Ice Rod, either in, Skullwoods it can't really lead to. So in Turtle Rock, like it always is, but as it stands now, we're kind of running out of places for the Fire Rod.
Yep, and Owase is on his way toward one of those locations that we don't know the information on. That is up to 4 items in the swamp, watching a little bit closer this time. And Compass there in the waterfall room means at least 1 item is locked on left side.
Yeah, so if it is just 1 item, that is a reasonable skip. Time benefit trade-off there, but if it turns out to be the Fire Rod, that would probably be one of the last spots he will check.
A unique item is in Tower of Hera. Yeah, we had to get that to get here. Not gonna lie, I do enjoy the fact that hints don't have to be relevant and can have things that were required to get to them listed on them.
Yep, and Ultima is just a little bit behind here, but he just got his 3rd crystal, working on his 4th.
We'll see if Devio is gonna head back into left side swamp. There's only 1 item over there. He's going for it. So we got a couple of, moment of truth type moments coming up here. Ultima did Thieves Town without the hammer. Owase is going to be checking the big chest soon. Scrub did, or not Scrub, Owase also did Swamp without checking the left side, and we're about to see the left side items. If we find anything of value in these couple of checks, it's a very bad sign for those who were here earlier.
Yeah, and Owase is coming up on that big chest right now.
Is it important? No, it's a heart container.
All right, so that is a break for Scrub Casual and Ultima, both of them doing Thieves Town without the hammer.
DVO is just flooding the left side of Swamp here as Ultima heads into his Silver Arrow Armos fight, which is not going to be very difficult. Just had to say something. Line fight going very smoothly for Owase for the first two phases. Third phase got a little bit off script, but managed it nicely.
Scrub Casual making that unfortunate mistake where fluting to 5 and not finding the hammer in his inventory. It does look like Ultima is headed towards Palace of Darkness.
Okay, left side Swamp just had a piece of heart, so everyone is safe with the minor gambles they have taken. Also, Scrub Casual then fluting to 7, trying to go up to the portal there, and also getting hammer locked. I think at this point he's pretty confident Pod has progression on the right side, and probably doesn't feel too great, and might be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, at least he's going to the place he needs to go to. Maybe a little bit later than ideal, but he will have that hammer soon and will be able to catch up from there.
So out of the locations we have left, where do we think the fire rod could be? Is it in T-Rock somewhere hiding away? Is it, in the couple chests of Ice Palace we weren't able to check? Is it in one of the smattering of overworld spots that we may not have seen?
I think if it were me, I would be betting it was in Ice Palace, but given that, committing to a full clear of Pendant Ice Palace takes so long, making that trip up to Turtle Rock and just checking and seeing if it's there might be the right play.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad play no matter what. It's a little bit quicker, and you usually get locked out of T-Rock very quick if you don't get the fire rod in there.
So now DVO is checking the Desert Palace items. Everybody's just looking for that fire rod.
Yep, Ultima a little bit behind, needing to find the ice rod as well, but other than that, he is right on par with everyone else. Owase, having just gotten his flute, is making the very, very reasonable play of heading into Misery Mire.
Yep, and we should expect him to check the Mire Shed here and then clear out Mire, check the Checkerboard Cave, and then he'll be caught up on that regard to our other runners. Meanwhile, Ultima finishing up Swamp Palace, Scrub Casual just finishing off Helmasaur, probably headed to Swamp Palace next.
Evio wrapping up his desert items.
Yeah, so he has not done the back of Thieves Town, our only runner to not have done that. But he looks to be making that play independent ice. Now, we did not see the hammer-locked items, so the Fire Rod could still be in here.
Yep, we only saw one actual item come out. Oh, he decided to go to Waterfall first. That's probably a good idea. Yeah, I believe we only saw one item out of here when Ultima was in, and Ultima also did not check the hints, so there could be a lot of potential in here.
Yeah, it's a very reasonable play. So if he decides to do that, makes perfect sense.
And looks like he might be going back that way just a little bit longer around.
Oh, he probably is trying to get the hobo check-in here first, too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ultima now done with ice. We'll see if he goes back in for that one item on left side.
Yeah, given that he dipped into Ice Palace and didn't get anything out of it, he might be willing to take the risk to leave that item behind, and it looks like that is the case.
Now the question is, does he go up to T-Rock since he did take that time in ice already? Well, he's gone somewhere.
Yeah, he might be doing the Smith. Did he? I can't remember which runners did that and which did not.
Yeah, I can't say for certain either. I'm really hoping he's not trying to go back for the Thieves Town big chest. I doubt that he would make that play, but you always have that moment of concern when they're right by their one gamble.
So it does look like he is checking the Smith and the hammer pegs. He did get the purple chest hint before, so hopefully he remembers that and does not make that check.
And on the note of hints, Devio also skipping that first hint in Ice Palace. So still no idea if that just tells us, hey, the Fire Rod is here. Now, I wouldn't also be surprised to see Ultima try to make the desert play, having not checked the items in there yet.
Yeah, that would also be a very reasonable play.
Also, Wase trying to get across to the bridge without menuing, and ended up falling off, or bonking and missing some time there.
And it does look like Ultima is making the play up Death Mountain. Now, he might just be checking Ether and Spike Cave, but it's possible that he is going to make that Turtle Rock play.
And worth noting that Devio did get a hint there saying that some bombs were held by the Kakariko village elder, which means that, you know, the green pendant is not worth it. If he gets 3 items in here, he can just leave.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny hint to have here in Green Pendant Ice Palace.
Going for the Spike Cave check that we know is useless, while everyone's kind of still where others have been. Scrub Casual going into Swamp right now, into left side Swamp in particular.
And Ultima has fluted back to 1.
As he does, we're starting to get these hammerlock locations in ice. Small key, meh.
Heart container, it's looking like either Cold Stare or Turtle Rock.
Yep, and we're going to be seeing both of those very soon, it appears, so we should know where the secret of the seed lies very soon. Scrub Casual getting his disappointment on left side swamp, but heading back through. He went left side first, which isn't a terrible idea when you're going to full clear the dungeon anyway. Unfortunately, it's not really worth this time.
Yep, and we see Awase is headed over towards Ice Palace for himself, it would appear.
The boots is in Mini Moldorm Cave. Thanks! You know,
Very useful.
If enough people play the seed, the boots didn't lock anything, so there might actually be someone who gets there and goes, "Oh my god! That's where the boots are!"
We're starting with a small key, so we go further.
Oh, I was wrong. Ultima would have gotten 2 items in Ice Palace. I missed the one Ice Tea the first time through. So yeah, Fire Rod not there. It's pretty certainly here in T-Rock.
Let's see how far it makes him go to find it. Probably here, but it could be deeper. And it is.
Let's go last chest of Laser Bridge. Let's do it.
Yeah, so in order for the Fire Rod to end up on Laser Bridge, you need to get a small key in the first 2 chests, and the big key must be vanilla, and then one of the next 2 must be a small key. It's a very, very specific key lineup for that to happen.
Yep, and the usual saying is, checking T-Rock for Fire Rod is pretty quick because, you'll get locked out quickly if it's not there, but there's also the possibility you get that key to layout and Fire Rod is chilling somewhere entirely different.
It's the big key.
Okay, we're getting close to that dream.
Yeah, so the other place it could be, besides inside of Turtle Rock, is in the Mimic Cave.
Also gotta say, of all the seeds to have, potentially your tournament life resting on, I feel bad for these 4 right now.
Yeah, this isn't the easiest seed to deal with, that's for sure.
The bright side is the score differential tends to be less of an issue on the more complicated seeds. You tend to get a higher average score when it's something like this than when it's something like a jet seed. But it's still not a fun one to be going through thinking, if I don't do well, this could be it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, once you're getting down to these bad choices like Ice Palace, Pendant Ice Palace, and Turtle Rock, and it's not Mimic Cave, it really just starts playing with your head when you're in these high-pressure situations.
Oh yeah, worth noting that Owase is out of bombs in Ice Palace. There it is. Big chest of T-Rock with the Fire Rod.
Yeah, and Ultima just gambling here. If the small key is here, and on Laser Bridge, he doesn't have to backtrack for the small key.
Yep, it's definitely worth taking the check. There's one of the two he needs. And he is the first one to go mode, despite a couple of things going on that, you know, didn't work out. He hit the right point at the right time.
Yep, it seems like every one of our runners had a little bit of a misstep at some point, but Ultima's, I guess, seemed to work out the best. So that's great for him. He's in go mode, he's here in Turtle Rock, and if the last small key is on the Laser Bridge, he is good to go.
Taking that blue potion before diving through here to make sure that there are no issues.
Having a little bit of trouble with his laser skips.
Yeah, not going the best they can, but there's a small key, so didn't have to go back to the front, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and really, as far as equipment goes, he's in a great spot. He has Butter Sword, Silver Arrows, Red Mail, Half Magic. The execution piece here, he has everything he needs to make this easy, so it's just a straight line to the finish. Just has to grab his last 2 crystals here and return to Gan's Tower.
Yep, not the most fun thing to have to climb back up GT, or climb back up Death Mountain to go to GT, but sometimes the seed makes you do it, and then you're disappointed, but you do it anyway.
Yeah, and unfortunately we do see that Devio is making that dip back into Thieves Town. He avoided the back of Thieves Town longer than any of our other runners. However, he will clear this out. He'll get a heart container, half magic, and I believe 5 rupees. So not what he's looking for at this point.
I mean, you'll never complain about half magic, but in this kind of situation, you don't particularly care for it. You just want that fire rod.
Yep, and both Oase and Scrub Casual making their way through their Ice Palace checks. Now, I would believe that Scrub Casual, having been skipping these hints, he might not know that the green pendant is useless in this seed, so he might actually go kill Cold Stare, which would be a little bit of a setback.
Yeah, that would certainly not be a good thing for him and his end time. I did kind of enjoy that. I feel like Ultima was probably thinking while he was mirroring up on Death Mountain, if this were just a glitch mode, I could just go directly to Skull Woods and not have to leave.
Yeah, you players that play with your crazy glitches, I don't know. I like the old-fashioned flute, or I like the entrances to get me there.
Yeah, I like both those things too. Once you get a little bit of knowledge of the glitches, though, every time you're looking at something, you're just like, I could do this so much faster if this was just allowed. So we are going to go see some Butter Sword Moth Fight, which is actually Tempered Sword Moth Fight, since Butter Sword Moth Fight is the worst thing in this game. And then up to GT.
Yeah, there was a time when they didn't apply that fix to the Randomizer, so if you didn't know how the Butter Sword Moth was actually coded in the vanilla game, you would not have a fun time with your Randomizer seed, but that has since been fixed. For those of you who don't know, Mothula is immune to the Butter Sword Slash, and Spin for that matter, in the vanilla game. But in Randomizer, you can go ahead and use your Butter Sword freely. It just becomes a tempered sword for the fight.
Also, just to answer in the chat real quick, Ultima is 94th right now, so he is right on the bubble. Scrub Casual and DVO XS are also, I believe, 97th and 98th, if I recall from the beginning of the stream correctly. So they're also right on the bubble of do decently, you might get bumped in, do poorly, and that might be the end.
Yep, and Awase's at 78th, but he does still need a pretty good finish here to make sure he is safe. So he is here fighting Cold Stare, and so is Scrub Casual. They must not have gotten the hint. Either that, or they're skipping an item and gambling that it's here.
It's possible, or I don't think Village Elder was a hint at the initial thing. They might just not know that that's a hint for Saha.
That is also very possible.
But Ultima done with Modula is on his way up to GT, where he's going to be looking for the big key and literally nothing else.
Yeah, so about that big key, I hear that there are 22 item locations in Ganon's Tower that can hold that big key.
It's very true, and I feel like a lot of people like to throw numbers in the chat somewhere between 1 and 22 to try to guess where that key might be.
So where are you thinking?
Given the way the seed has gone, I want to see it be 22 just to complete the way it has been.
Oh man, 22 would be I don't know. This has been a little bit rough. They've had to make some plays that nobody wants to make. I want to let's get it in Stolfos' room. So how about a 9? 9, assuming that they do right side and then to left side.
That'd be pretty nice. You're a much nicer man than I am. I always like to guess the high numbers just because then there's more random to watch and you get to watch people execute more of the basement, which a lot of times we don't get to see people do a lot of the basement of GT.
Ooh, unfortunately, Awase is making the dive back into Swamp Palace for that one item they left behind before. And it looks like Scrub Casual is making his way to the pedestal for a pedestal check.
But unfortunately not grabbing that hint in Meyer that told him some cash was here.
Now, the good news is that Devio is in Turtle Rock, and he's just a couple checks away from finding his own Fire Rod in the Turtle Rock Big Chest.
I don't think Scrub has a whole lot of options left. The fact that he's going back to Dark World right now does concern me, though. Ultima coming up on the next 4 chests, which are a piece of heart, $1, $20, and bombs. Woo.
Yep, so not on the right side.
Let's see, will the boots finally be required for something?
Well, it's something.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument for picking that up if you want to see how much you can make the Ganon fight lag.
I mean, it's a fun game. But I mean, if you're trying to
bees, turn on
yeah,
the cane.
you gotta go to the Good Bee Cave next to Ice Rod Cave and stock up. I think I called it.
You definitely called it. Well done.
So that was chest 9 for the big key here, and Ultima makes his way upstairs.
But from this point on, there is no more random factor in the seed. It is all just, do you play cleanly through the end? And don't get me wrong, stuff can still go wrong. I know that all too well from one of my own qualifiers, but chances are most of the time if a runner makes it up to the gauntlet, they're probably going to finish the seed with no issues.
Yep, and DVO is fire rod in hand, making his way towards the laser bridge. We'll be very happy to see that small key there.
Yep, and let's see. We do have Scrub Casual doing what I was afraid he was doing when he went back to the Dark World and going to check this big chest for disappointment.
Wase, on the other hand, is here on Death Mountain and is, well, he is getting dead rock blocked, and again, but it does look like he's making his way towards Turtle Rock.
Yeah, so he should be in decent shape once he gets through there. I mean, I haven't looked at the SRL since the race started, so, you know, for all I know, someone finished in 59 minutes, but hey. There was, you know, always the dream of someone getting a sub-1 in one of these qualifiers. It hasn't happened.
Yeah, if somebody did get a sub-1, that would really impact the scores of their opponents in that race.
Oh yeah, I know there was a couple of the seeds, if you got the right hints at the right time and made the bets along them, you could definitely have picked up over old kind of top-end scores.
Yep, so it does look like Owasa is opening up the Turtle Rock portal, so that's great news for him. Scrub Casual, meanwhile, is checking Spike Cave. I'm not sure how many checks they have left, but they have exhausted quite a few of the remaining locations.
Yeah, but Ultima has been blowing through the gauntlet, just very cleanly getting through everything. On to first torch room now, doing it a little bit slower, a little bit safer way.
And it does look like Scrub Casual is back on Death Mountain.
And hopefully... Oh, no. Is he going to be on Death Mountain for much longer? Yep.
He did save and quit, so I don't know what else he has in mind right now, but the sooner he gets back to Death Mountain, the better.
I do want to give a little bit of shout out to Ultima on his torch rooms there. He took it kind of the slow and safe way. You know, you're in a qualifier, you just need a good enough score to get through. Trying to rush to, you know, perfect torch room, risking despawning the tower if you go up the stairs at the wrong frame is a pretty big risk when you can just take it slow and make sure that, you know, yeah, you finish 30 seconds slower, but your score stays what it should be.
Yeah, at this point, you'll take a very minor time loss to avoid a major time loss that every time. And DVO is making his way for his last crystal.
What a terrible first Aga 2 pattern. I don't blame Ultima for getting nothing there.
It's not the greatest start to the fight. Some bad patterns. You got a blue ball there. We do get one hit on the third cycle, so hopefully that starts a little bit of a turnaround here.
And we're up to 2 hits. This could be a relatively simple double. Nope. Nope.
Could just be a little bit of nerves factoring in here too. You know, if he's happen to see people finishing or anything like that, and knowing where he is, he could be just getting a little bit nervous. But he has gotten through here with a nice double to finish it off.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet even if he hasn't seen anyone finish, nerves are still a factor of just like, well, there's always that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Awase is getting very, very close to that fire rod. And Scrub Casual is indeed in Turtle Rock. So at the very least, the seed, the mysteries for all of our runners on stream are about to be solved.
Yep, we just got the fire rod there. Got one more coming up, but right now we got a Ganon fight. Oh, Ultima almost tried to go for the double spin and then went, wait, I have Butter Sword, why am I doing this?
Yeah, a lot of runners will try to just keep the practice up, pretend it's Tempered Sword just to get a little bit extra practice in, but you only need 6 flashes for each of the first 2 phases with Butter Sword, so no problems there.
On to phase 3, still 2.5 hearts, which, you know, is in risk territory. He's got red mail, but he only can take like 1 hit for most things in the Ganon fight with it.
All right, just one more silver arrow here. And Ganon is down.
And gonna pull up his SRL time and placement here. See, he finished officially at a 140.59 in 16th place overall. For those interested, the top 3 were ACMLM finishing in first place at a 122.39, which is absolutely absurd for this seed. Actiboker followed up at a 125.57, and Jet 082 finishing in third with 129.06, rounding out the top 3 for the average.
Yep, and we do have Ultima joining us here. We'll bring him in. Hey, Ultima, congrats on your finish. GG.
Thank you. GG's, everybody.
So how about that fire rod?
That was ugly. Ugly.
Yeah, it was not a seed that lets you get away with taking risks. You either had to backtrack to the things you skipped or trust in Turtle Rock without the fire rod all the way to the big chest. So not very easy.
Yeah, I thought dipping into Ice Palace without the hammer was bad. I thought something was going to be in there, but it turned out to be nothing.
Yeah, that, the other runners went into Ice Palace later with the hammer. At least 2 of them killed Cold Stare for the green pendant. So in a way, that early Ice Palace dip kind of saved you time over other people.
Yeah, once I picked up the hammer, I thought about going back, and then there was left side swamp that I had to orphan, and there was just so many things that I orphaned.
Yeah, so some of the other opponents you had here on Restream did go back for those other checks, which completely understandable, but if there's one thing that set you apart from the others on the Restream, that was it. You had a couple spare checks everywhere, but you made that dip into Turtle Rock a little bit earlier.
Did everybody look away during my Aga 2 fight?
No, we saw that.
That was what, like a 12 cycle?
Something around there. I'm kind of figuring, we mentioned it's probably, especially with that ACMLM finish, knowing where you're at in the standings, was that a little bit of nervousness about your score at the end of this?
Yeah, there was a big gap between first and where I finished, so I didn't want to drop. One of my races was pretty low, so I'd really have to tank this race in order to get less than that, so I wasn't too worried, but I wanted to get a higher score so I could raise my average just a little bit, because I was on the bubble. I was in, I think, 94th place.
Yeah, all 4 of you on the restream here were kind of right on the bubble. Oase farthest removed, but Scrub Casual and DVO are 97th and 98th. Awase was like 74th, and you were sitting there at 94th. So this race is kind of important for all of your standings.
Most definitely.
Anything else about that seed that stood out to you going through?
Not really. I think when I did Aga before Hera, I don't know why I just completely blanked on Hera. And then I did Aga and there was nothing on Pyramid. I was like, oh crap, it's not even an Aga seed. And then I went up and got the Moon Pearl. I was like, okay, good. Aga was required.
Yeah, I think in general you had a pretty good performance, and you know, it's always just a trade-off when you dip into that crystal dungeon, one item from Go mode, and you don't have the item you need to complete it. It's always a little bit tricky to judge, but I think you handled it well. So congratulations on your finish.
Thank you.
I made a comment after you got that fire rod in T-Rock about how when you were mirroring to go to Skull Woods, you were probably just sitting there thinking, I could just walk right to Skull Woods from here.
Yeah.
The downside of playing enough glitch logic where you know those kind of things is there's always that little bit in the back of your mind like, this could be faster.
Yeah, doing a nice little mirror wrap right there.
Well, if you don't have anything else, you're free to stick around when your opponents come, or you can just we can let you go. And again, GG.
All right, I'll head out. Thanks, guys. Thanks very much to the commentators, trackers, restreamers, and all the admins and everybody doing all the work for this. It's great. And GG's, everybody.
Thank you for the run. It was very entertaining to watch you among these other three as well. Devio is just finishing up Moldorm 2. He does check the final chest in the game for memes, and then proceeds up to Aga 2. Worth noting, Scrub Casual doing something that's easy to do when you have butter and you aren't thinking of it. He tried to do a spin attack against Mothula on that first attack there. Now, slashes are fixed to be Tempered Sword damage with Butter Sword, but Tempered and Butter Spin still do level 5 damage, which is the equivalent of spikes, which doesn't hurt Mothula at all.
Yep, and DVO finishing up his Aga 2, so he will have another Ganon fight coming right up. Awase going towards the left side here will have his big key very soon, and Scrub Cash will be making his way to GT.
Awase also went ahead and grabbed that Cane O'Brien on his way in. Butter Ganon, never really a concern with red mail and 10.5 hearts available. This shouldn't be any issue for Devio. He should be finishing up probably around a little bit after 150. Three hits on phase 3, just one to go. And I forget Ganon's teleport pattern here from the other runners. Missed Torch Glitch doesn't matter when you got silvers. You can take them out just as quick. Sometimes even quicker by not getting Torch Glitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just needs one more hit here. And there we go.
Assuming no shenanigans with falling off before the bridge spawns, that will be GG for DVO XS.
Yeah, and DVO XS finished in 42nd place overall with a time of 1:50.04.
Some of these qualifiers have been crazy. If you look back at times, you know, even last tournament, but before that, how many people can end up, you know, finishing in 42nd place with a 150 on a seed like this would have been absurd like half a year ago. And it's been almost commonplace during these qualifiers.
Yep, absolutely. And we do have DVO XS. We'll bring him in here. DVO, great race. GG.
Oh, GG. It was an interesting one.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about your performance in that seed?
I don't know. There were a lot of things where I was kind of thinking a little bit too far ahead, but overall I'm pretty pleased. I do regret though that at some point, right around when I went to check the Ether tablet and what was it, Spike Cave, I really wanted right there to just jump into Turtle Rock, but I didn't. I was just thinking, like, the last couple qualifiers I did had shenanigans like that. I was like, surely this couldn't happen again.
Yeah, and I want to say that until you started checking all the one-offs that you had left, you probably were in the lead on the restream. But like, for instance, you were the last of our 4 runners that we were watching that to go to the back half of Thieves Town. But once you went back and did just about everything else, that did let Ultima get ahead of you there on the restream.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I guess fortune favors the bold in these kinds of cases. I wanted to give it a try, but I was dead set on Spike Cave for whatever reason. This isn't the weirdest Turtle Rock I've seen, though. I've once played a seed where Turtle Rock had both the Fire Rod and the Ice Rod in it. That was pretty fun.
That sounds fantastic, I won't lie.
It was so funny, I had to save that seed to, like, a special folder.
I think my favorite was both gloves on left side swamp.
Oh, that's great.
I think my most memorable was the 3 swords and silver arrows in Rando Room.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be a rough one, because you don't have much for that whole seed. I'd also like to give a shout out to the silvers being in Misery Mire, which saved my butt, probably.
Yeah, I remember now. You were in there with 6 hearts. I think you were down to 2 for most of it, and you found those silvers.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I just need to keep it together, and everything should be fine. I was fully prepared to throw bombs and just shoot a bunch of arrows and do all that kind of stuff and kind of lame through the fight, but yeah, I got saved by that a little bit.
I was very surprised that Meyer didn't end up paying out more than just silver arrows after Village of Outcasts was just screaming, hey, remember that Misery Mire place? Go here.
Yeah, the fact that I had just conveniently had everything for Misery Mire made me think something had to be there. Like, even if like I died or something, I would figure I would get like something out of it. But I guess silvers are not bad, but they're not necessary. So.
We do have Oase on his Ganon fight with half a heart. He does have all those safeties, silvers, and everything, but just a little bit careful here.
Oh yeah.
Also, the only one who made it there with only tempered sword. Everyone else found butter.
Oh, and everyone head to desert for just to check some stuff.
I do believe everybody eventually checked it. Maybe Ultima skipped it, but most of you did.
I mean, they're pretty quick checks. That's kind of what I figured going in.
Oase with a very, very nice triple to wrap up that Ganon fight.
Oh, very nice. GG. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this regardless, because this does improve upon my worst score. My worst score being like a 35-minute deficit from like the hook shot and the Titan's Mitts being... Wait, no, not Titan's Mitts, maybe Flute, which were my go mode items, both being in Swamp. So that one wrecked a lot of people.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I don't know the calculation well enough to do it quickly enough to see what your final score will end up. But yeah, I think this is definitely not going to be too bad of a score, so it should bump you forwards a bit, I would think.
Yeah, I think I'll get bumped forward and maybe bumped a little bit back when the last two, depending on how, the couple last runners with the 3 and 4 races, how that shakes out. But, whatever. It's not a big deal.
Also, real quick, Oase did finish officially in 53rd place with a time of 1:55.34.
So, Didio, any last final thoughts on this seed, or anything else you want to say?
Always go into the dungeon that you think will never, ever, in any circumstance, have anything. Because it always does. Every time. I talk myself out of it like 3 out of 5 times.
Yeah, Rando likes to be like, hey, you don't think this is going to happen? So, yep, it's going to be the thing.
Alright, well, I should probably get some food or something, so I'll get out of here and you can continue doing your thing.
All right, thanks for joining us for the interview, and thanks for running. GG once more.
Yeah, and thanks for commentating, and thanks to the tracker as well, keeping everything under control. Much appreciated.
All right, we are on our 4th and final Ganon fight of the evening, Scrub Casual. Using the cape to just make it a little bit safer.
Yep, no harm done using the safeties when you got them. He is going to, if all goes, according to plan, should be finishing up a little bit sub 2. I think Scrub got bit the most of the 4 on Restream by just unfortunate results of routing decisions.
Yeah, he definitely ended up getting the most painful double dips out of anybody. Yeah, and it just really didn't work out. He decided to pretty much exhaust every check before he did go to Turtle Rock, and since he had a bunch of one-offs that he had left, it just really messed with his final time.
And that was after doing pod early, which seemed to be a decent play, and then we find out the hammer was on right side, and he has to go back and did that as late as one would expect.
And with that, Scrub Casual finished in 56th place with a time of 1:59.17.
And GG to all 4 of these runners on Restream. That was apparently, based on ACMLM, a seed that you could do very quickly. But I think for most people, that was one of those seeds where you're gonna be feeling a bit lost at times. And all 4 of these runners all got the sub 2. That is not an easy feat.
Now, they all did a great job tonight. And speaking of, please go ahead and give our runners a follow. They did put on a great show. If you liked what you saw, feel free. Every single one, you saw how they play. I think a lot of them play more than just Randomizer as well. So go ahead and check them out. Also, want to thank our trackers. They did a great job for us today. We have B-Links and Vince Easter. So thank you so much for keeping us on top of things.
Yep, tracking is the silent hero, making it so that there aren't, a ton of confusion over who has what items, who's done what things. So that when you come into the stream, you can see where someone is at, respectively, in item collection. It's probably the most valuable position in these restreams.
So it does not look like we are going to have Owase or Scrub Casual join us for an interview. So any final thoughts from you, Mentos, man? This was an interesting qualifier. We have 2 qualifiers left. We've had a nice selection of interesting seeds. It's been an interesting tourney so far. Any thoughts?
Yeah, the variety of the qualifiers has been real interesting. I think all of them have had their own, kind of unique spin to them. This one was very important for the 4 runners we had on Restream, and of course it turned into be one that, could lead you astray very quick. So with 2 qualifiers left, now everyone at 5 races gets to sit there and enjoy these last 2 races from a viewing standpoint with the overhanging, is this going to affect my ranking? It's going to be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, and for more detail on the weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, the qualifier is going to be restreamed at 3:15, and on Sunday it will be restreamed at 5:45. Channel to be determined. There'll be one restream on an SG channel, and there should also be a restream on one of the A Link to the Past Randomizer channels. So, check that out. Going to be a lot of drama here as the order. The people that are just over or under the cut are giving it their all to make it over and get into the groups. So should be a lot of good action this weekend.
But then sometime during next week, we'll be getting an overall group reveal show, finding out who's in what group with who, what kind of ridiculous matchups we can expect. Since the top 96 is already looking like extremely painful to be a part of.
Yeah, and this has been open mode in the qualifiers. The groups are going to be a whole different animal, and I'm sure in the group reveal they'll go over that. And for you fans out there, it should be a nice treat, the group stage of this tournament. So, with that said, join us tomorrow at 3:15. It should be a lot of fun, a lot of action. I've been Korek,
and I've been Mentos Man 8.
and everybody have a great evening.